In every great conflict, beyond the rifles and rations, soldiers carried something far more valuable: knowledge that could mean the difference between life and death. These were not ordinary survival hacks. They were field-proven, military-tested techniques so effective they were deliberately kept out of public manuals. Passed in whispers through units, guarded by veterans, and rediscovered decades later, these tricks tell a side of warfare history that textbooks rarely mention. For the next few minutes we're stepping into that hidden world, where ingenuity replaced luxury and survival was an art form. Trick 1. The mud and fat waterproofing method that kept uniforms dry for weeks. Before synthetic coatings, soldiers discovered that mixing animal fat with fine soil created a natural barrier against moisture. When smeared onto boots, capes, or even tent cloth, it repelled water astonishingly well. In World War II, British commandos used this blend in the Balkans, where constant rain turned camps into swamps. It worked by sealing fabric pores while keeping it flexible, unlike wax, which cracked in the cold. Modern survivalists can recreate it by heating rendered animal fat, like tallow or lard, then stirring in powdered clay or ash until thick. Apply it warm to canvas or leather, let it set overnight, and the result is an old-world waterproofing trick that rivals modern treatments. Trick 2. Using candle smoke to preserve metal in the field. Rust was a constant enemy of rifles and tools in humid or coastal regions. Soldiers in the Pacific learned to use candle smoke to lay a fine carbon coating on exposed metal parts. The soot layer prevented oxidation better than thin oil coatings, especially during long missions when supplies ran out. They'd hold a rifle bolt or knife blade above the flame until it turned matte black, a finish that blended with jungle shadows and protected against corrosion. This trick survives today among some collectors and reenactors restoring vintage gear. Trick 3. The silence rations used by scouts. In occupied territories, stealth was everything. Certain special forces developed silence rations, high-calorie mixes that could be eaten without chewing or smell. These weren't standard issue, but field inventions. One such mix combined condensed milk, flour, cocoa, and lard, heated into dense bars. They could be swallowed in pieces and provided enough energy for hours. Some reports from Soviet partisans describe using dried mashed potato cakes with bacon grease sealed in wax paper. For modern survivalists, making silence rations is simple. Blend nut butter, honey and oat flour. Compress into bars and wrap tightly. They'll last for months and attract no attention when eaten. Trick 4 is all about how soldiers used ash and snow to brush their teeth and sterilize wounds. When supplies ran out, ash really became the universal cleanser. Mixed with just a bit of water, it would turn into this alkaline paste that could remove grime and bacteria. In those freezing cold climates, soldiers would rub ash together with snow, making a gritty but surprisingly effective cleaner for their hands and even for wounds. This method actually came from earlier frontier warfare, but it was brought back into use during the Eastern Front campaigns. The important thing was always to use wood ash, not coal ash, since wood ash contains potassium salts and no toxic residues. Even today, ash sterilization can work in emergencies. It kills microbes and neutralizes those acids that cause decay. Trick 5 is the invisible campfire that honestly saved so many patrols from being spotted. See, smoke would give away positions faster than just about anything else. To solve that, soldiers learned to build the Dakota fire hole, a kind of buried double pit system that burns hotter and cleaner than an open flame. By digging 2 holes and connecting them with a tunnel, one for the fire and one for airflow, they created a draft that led to almost complete combustion. The flames stayed down below ground level, and smoke was reduced to nearly nothing. Both American and German reconnaissance units used their own versions of this clever design during covert missions. Even in survival situations today, it's still one of the best ways to cook quietly or stay warm without giving away your location. Trick 6. Turning condensation into clean water. In desert warfare, especially in North Africa, soldiers learned to pull water from the air itself. They'd stretch a sheet of fabric over a pit with a small stone in the centre to create a dip. Overnight, condensation gathered and dripped into a container below. Some even use parachute silk treated with oil to improve condensation yield. The method required patience, but worked where no visible source existed. Anyone camping in arid zones can replicate it using plastic or tarp material, proof that, well, necessity truly is the mother of invention. Trick 7. The bone broth endurance trick. When rations ran out, soldiers often boiled leftover bones with a pinch of salt for hours to create a nutrient-rich broth. What seemed like desperation was actually a biochemical secret. Boiling bones released collagen, minerals, and fats that stabilized energy levels and aided recovery. Medical units in the First World War even issued bone broth as an emergency ration for wounded men. Today, long-simmered broth remains one of the most efficient survival foods, providing electrolytes and protein with minimal ingredients. Trick 8. Using urine and charcoal to make emergency filters. This trick sounds grim, but it saved countless lives. When no clean water was available, soldiers filtered even foul sources through layers of sand, cloth and charcoal, then sterilized the result using diluted urine. Urea compounds acted as mild disinfectants, and when followed by boiling, the water became safe enough to drink. Some desert troops in both world wars relied on this when caught behind lines. Modern survivalists adapt this technique by building layered bottle filters with charcoal, sand and fabric, then using iodine tablets instead of urine for safer sterilization. The legacy of secret soldier survival still holds value today. These 8 tricks reveal how soldiers relied less on equipment and more on understanding their environment. Each method was born out of necessity and honed by trial and error. For history buffs and survivalists alike, these are not relics. They're field-tested lessons in resilience. Knowing how to waterproof fabric, cook silently, or purify water without gear is more than historical trivia. It's timeless wisdom that can still keep someone alive today. If you value learning from the forgotten ingenuity of the past, make sure to subscribe to Echoes of Valor and share this video with fellow enthusiasts. The old soldiers' secrets still speak. They only need ears willing to listen.